right, welcome to the 10th episode of the CamerataCast. My name is Andres Marquez, and I am here with my band.
The one and only.
That's the introduction. I'd like to.
It's one hell of an introduction.
These guys are some of my best friends in the world. I've known two of them for, let's say, 5-6 years. We've been
6 years.
6 years.
7 years.
Oh wow.
No.
And the word,
No, not 7.
I've known you guys since like
6.
high school, like late high school. But yeah, so this is a band that I am so proud and so happy to be a part of. This is Big Hat Logan. Why don't you all take some time to introduce yourselves?
I'm Brandon Cantran. I play guitar.
I'm Bismarck Depping, lead vocalist.
I'm Nick Perez. I play the bass.
Awesome. And I'm Andres Marquez, and I play the drums. So, if you don't mind me just diving into it, I want to ask y'all, how did Big Hat Logan... I mean, this is weird asking a question that I'm privy to the answer of. But, I mean, you guys are the guests, so to speak. So why don't y'all just take it upon yourselves? How did Big Hat Logan start?
Like a phoenix from the ashes of reptile dysfunction.
Well, there was a mommy Big Hat Logan and a daddy Big Hat Logan.
A Loganettes, if you will.
Yeah. No, the three of us, Bismarck, Andres, and I, Brandon, were part of a band called Reptile Dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And to zero acclaim, released a single album and tanked and could not write music.
But by the time we released the album, though, we were already kind of wrapping it up, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of did feel like it.
It was a kind of a sad situation. I mean, I wouldn't say like heartbreaking, but it was kind of
Petering out.
Yeah, it just felt like there was a lot of passion that was kind of just like leaking out from underneath us.
And speaking of leaking, that's when our then bassist Johnny had a child. And
he leaked out a child.
Yeah. And
You had to
then
pick it up.
He flew to Coop, and now he lives elsewhere. And then we were like, let's start a new band called Big Hat Logan off a joke that I made a long time ago when I was playing Dark Souls. I was like, oh, Big Hat Logan, that'd be a cool band name.
Well, really a joke. It's a good band name.
For those that aren't aware, Big Hat Logan is a character in the video game Dark Souls.
Yes.
He's a wizard that has a very large hat.
He a big hat, you might say.
Yeah.
I don't think Nick was there, but there was a time. I mean, not there, but like, I don't think we had Nick in the band. But there was a time where we would just meet up and we kind of like throw ideas around. But what we do, like after a bit, is we just come up with album names with the word Big Hat Logan.
I was there for some of that.
Yeah, he was there for some of that.
Yeah.
We had Big Hat Logan climbs a tree.
Yeah,
That was
this,
one of my
this
favorite.
was fucking. This was outside of like a Buffalo Wild Wings where you had to use the
Yes!
bathroom,
Yeah.
and we
We
yeah,
were
we
just
kept
walking
rattling
around.
off
This
the
was like
Buffalo.
pre-COVID too.
Yeah,
That's where Big Hat Logan Snaps Back came from.
yeah.
Oh my God, there were so many.
Big
I
Hat,
got some-
Big Hat Logan goes to Mars.
Yeah.
Logan goes to Mars.
Big Hat Logan Attacks. Nick was there for Big Hat Logan Eats Your Ass.
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Yeah.
Big Hat there was just so many, and we would just like
I don't know. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
it was
remember.
just like throwaway stuff. So a lot of it.
Oh yeah, like the album
It
cover
was
would be
funny.
like
Big Hat Logan evades his taxes.
Yeah.
like the picture of a door that says "Be back in 5" and Big Hat Logan reaches a break point. That's the name of the album.
Holy shit!
And but yeah, and then we were just like, okay, we're gonna be called Big Hat Logan. Now we need to look for people who play bass or whatever. And then we met with like one other person besides Nick. Sorry.
That was my friend Megan Francisco. She was very busy at the time, so it's
Yeah.
understandable how might not have been able to join the preeminent Dark Souls themed band of the century.
Yeah, we also didn't really vibe that much.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
Like we listened to some of her music. Megan definitely comes from a more like jazz-ish background, and we are very punk influenced, which we will.
We're also very silly.
Oh yeah, and Megan can be very. She's very like serious. Not serious. I wouldn't say serious. I'd say like. Kind of. We're very much like we were like the three jesters in front of the king at that point.
I prefer the term dweeb.
we were the dinks.
The Dinks Club.
But in any case, Nick came along and he
Yeah,
was.
it was actually a serendipitous moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was riding the bus back home from work, and who did I see but Johnny,
Yeah.
Reptile Dysfunction's bassist.
Bacon.
Yeah, his baker. The baker bassist. And I recognized him. It was so weird because I hadn't seen him in years. I saw him back in community college.
Yeah.
And he looked completely different at this point. He had like green hair and like a mohawk.
Yeah.
I
and,
forgot about that.
Yeah.
and he had like a denim vest on.
It was a
I was like-
confusing time for him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what he was going through, but we talked for a minute. He's like, "Yeah, you know, I'm in this band, but I'm leaving." I didn't even know about Reptile Dysfunction concretely.
Yeah.
I had this idea, like, "Oh yeah," like when we went to college together, I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, those guys are in a band, I think." But that was like
Like
the
I said, zero acclaim.
Yeah, and I would hang out with these guys like all the time, and I barely knew.
yeah. We knew Nick from college, Bismarck and I and Johnny as well.
Right.
We
Yeah.
played Magic
Well,
the
I knew
Gathering.
Nick
Oh,
from
my
middle
God.
school.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
true.
Before.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go way
Journalism
back.
class.
But
Apparently, Matt was the guy who knew you best. From what I had heard.
Our mutual friend.
I knew him in like 3rd grade. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But or no, he was in 3rd grade. I was in 2nd grade. Anyhow, yeah, I met Johnny. We connected, we exchanged phone numbers, and then he told me you guys needed a bassist, and I auditioned, and from there we just started hanging out more, kind of rekindled our old friendship, made a new friendship between me and Andres. And
That's the sound of friendship, boys and girls.
Yeah, if you look up friendship on Wikipedia, there's like a little MP3 file. You play that.
Go on, Nick.
And I'm no jazz bassist, but I can be silly, and I'm a quick learner.
Basically
So
the same thing.
yeah, there are no wrong notes. I know that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're constantly playing in the wrong key, you just make that the right key.
Yeah, just repetition. That's how it works. But yeah, from there I came on as the bassist. We started writing music together.
Mm-hmm.
Nick with his doom metal influence was like,
Oh,
how about
yeah.
you guys play slow?
And we were like,
And we're like, what? That's genius.
Meanwhile, I just can't play fast. I'm just not good.
They'll never find out.
that's opposites attracting right there. But yeah, so onto the, I guess that's a good segue into what influences our music and what we write. Personally, I'm very influenced by like a wide swath of musicians and artists. I love a lot of like the newer jazz folks that are coming about, like Snarky Puppy, Corey Henry, a lot of jazz drummers, of course. I'm very much a drummer. Folks like Ari Honig, Gavin Harrison, even though he's more prog rock. But yeah, I'm very into that kind of avant-garde scene. And when I first got in with Reptile Dysfunction, it was very different from what I had been in before, because it was like very punk and hard rock.
That's a nice way of saying bad.
No.
Yeah, we didn't even like punk music then.
It was just
I
punk
know.
because we were bad.
Like that's the easiest one, right?
Yeah, punk is the one where you only play root notes and power chords.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what are some of the influences you guys brought to the table?
I guess I'll go. Well, I don't really know what role that my influences play, but I'm like my main influences would be like Bon Scott era AC/DC, Phil Mogg from UFO, we're talking about like vocals and stuff. Phil Lynott for lyrics and vocals. Les Claypool from Primus. Frank Zappa, just anything. Recent, and then metal influence would just be like, you know, a lot of the thrash stuff, like especially like Megadeth. Violence.
But you said Megadeth.
I heard that too.
Megadeth. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm just hungry. I don't know.
I always
Yeah.
order myself a Mick. I can't make a Megadeth reference on the fly.
It's a Mick Megadeth is a term for a billion deaths by McDonald's.
Oh, so it's just the U.S. heart attack statistics
Yeah.
every year.
Yes, exactly.
The U.S. experience to make Megadeth.
Simultaneous.
We now interrupt your regular programming.
It looks like when you're playing Broforce and all those characters just explode at the same time. It's just like blood everywhere.
That's honestly, having played that right now recently, that's worse than a Megadeth.
It's a McGigadeth.
This is the tangiest episode.
Yeah. But back on, I was saying Megadeth,
My bad.
Violence, Exodus, Anthrax, Testament, all that all the thrash stuff. And then we weren't really into punk when we were starting Reptile Dysfunction, but then we kind of got into it, and there's bands like Dead Kennedys and Adolescence and yeah, a bunch of shit. I mean, I like more Danzig solo than Misfits, but Misfits are also really cool.
Yeah, you guys got me into like a lot of the punk that I know. Like before I'd met you, I think the extent of punk that I listened to was like Offspring, Green Day,
Pop punk.
and that's pop punk, yeah, and then like some Rise Against. But you guys got me into like a lot of the classic stuff, like Dead Kennedys, Adolescence. You guys got me into through like our album trades, like a lot of ska stuff, like
Operation Ivy.
Yeah, Operation Ivy, and no, DRI isn't ska, but they're like
The crossover.
yeah.
Crossover and hardcore punk.
Yeah, same here. Like the only punk I listened to was just from playing the Tony Hawk video games a lot as a kid,
It's a good selection.
which
though.
actually is not
Yeah.
bad. Like it's a lot of Dead Kennedys, a lot of Offspring. Like it's not the worst, but I never really listened to punk like on purpose until hanging out with you guys and doing those album shares, and
Mhm.
there's definitely some good stuff. Like
Yeah.
Agent Orange, I really like
Agent
now.
Orange is great. Yeah, that
Yeah.
need to be mentioned. Sex Pistols and The Damned need to be mentioned also.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Did anybody share The Damned in any?
I
of our-
haven't, but I
Really
should.
likes the
I
band.
don't think I've heard any of their music, honestly.
It's cool stuff. It's early stuff. It's the late 70s stuff.
I guess for my influences, well, when I first started playing guitar, and from when I first started playing guitar to creating the band, which is like, I don't know, 2 days or whatever. I joke.
It was one day.
No, it was like how long went from when I started playing? It was 2016, so it was probably like less than a year.
You first
So
strummed,
that says something.
you played an A minor chord, and you're like, that sounds like Reptile Dysfunction.
Yeah,
He tried to teach me to play guitar, but
Really?
we were too impatient. I just learned to write.
yeah. And
I
then it
did
was
not
just,
know that.
Reptile Dysfunction just started as just me and him, Tenacious D acoustic style guitar. But yeah, I guess first started like the influences were like Bon Scott, AC/DC, not that there was any other kind. Black Sabbath, Motorhead, basically like 70s hard rock and 80s heavy metal. Also going to like Megadeth. I was really into Megadeth.
Mhm.
Never got too into thrash, but that's as far as I go. Anthrax as well.
Yeah.
And that was kind of Reptile Dysfunction. Those were my influences then. And there was like a coworker who listened to us and was like, "You guys sound like Dead Kennedys." And I was like, "What? A
I don't
punk
even
band?
like Dead Kennedys.
Ew, punk? What the fuck? If you're saying we're bad, oh, punk."
Then you go listen to this is the greatest band.
Yeah. Oh my god, politics and music.
I thought that was only for country folk.
and I was like, oh my god, it is awesome. And then from there, I would consider like those punk bands kind of more influencing me more now. Not that Black Sabbath is still a huge influence,
Yeah.
but definitely like Dead Kennedys, Adolescence, Sex Pistols,
Descendants.
Misfits. Yeah, what's System of a Down I left out earlier, but that too.
Oh yeah.
I would say they're less punk and more like.
No, I just meant like influence.
Oh,
In
yeah,
general.
My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it.
How about you, Nick? You certainly brought a different dimension of music to the table when
Yeah.
you joined.
That's true. I attribute that to spending a lot of time alone, and like any good warm-blooded bassist, I started by trying to copy Flea. That's
Of
definitely
course,
just
of course.
doing
You were a
the
teenager.
Chili Peppers thing.
Uh-huh.
And I got into some more funk, like Funkadelic,
Nice.
Bootsy Collins,
Mhm.
but
yeah.
in
Right.
my early teens. But as I got older, I got into doom metal and like stoner metal. So bands like Yob, Black Sabbath, of course. This band Ohm,
I remember.
which I really like because they are kind of a crossover between my other most favorite genre of music, which is like Indian ragas and bhajans. I listen to a lot of traditional Indian kirtans and that style of music with its completely different, I guess, theoretical structure really comes into just my ear so much because I play by ear. I don't really know how to read music, but
yeah, you're pretty good at playing by ear.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you pick it up fast.
well, y'all are too kind. But
yeah, we are. You're gonna like it.
It's called
No.
Southern Hospitality.
And we put people in southern hospitals.
Southern hospitals have the best hospitality, but you gotta gain access. You
You'll
know?
see. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, I would say just musically.
You forgot King Gizzard.
Oh,
Yeah.
King
Yeah.
Gizzard, and I forgot the whole psychedelic rock thing that I like.
Yeah, whenever I see King Gizzard come up, I always think of Nick.
Yeah, I also like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard because they are influenced by microtonal music from Turkey, in particular. I like Arabian oud music as well. Like I like listening to that fretless microtonal sound that you can't really get on modern guitars, but that has been going on in the Middle East for the past few thousand years.
Yeah.
So I like kind of I like wrong notes, I guess, like the quarter notes. I like those. Or quarter tones, I guess, semitones.
If it's a quarter tone, then it's not a wrong note. It's just somewhere in between two right notes.
Yeah, that's true. But to the Western ear, it's like, ew.
Well, why is this song sad?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I feel like listening to more music over time just kind of opens you up to more musical possibilities. Because there was a point where I would listen to some of the stuff that I absolutely love right now. It was like, this is really gross.
Yeah,
It's really
same.
tough.
I also didn't get into jazz until meeting Andres. Well, even farther into meeting Andres.
Mhm.
Like Snarky Puppy and Saying the Rain music. Modern jazz.
It's definitely
fusion.
I think one of the only like older jazz bands I've shared with like us, I
Dave
suppose.
Brubeck.
Yeah, Dave Brubeck. He's one of my favorite jazz artists. Him
Mhm.
and Joe Morello, drummer. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't even think I got into jazz until relatively recently in my life. It was like around high school when I started listening to it more. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so if you don't mind me kind of making a rough segue here, I did want to ask y'all, specifically Brandon and Bismarck, and I guess kind of myself, since we're on the same side of the table here. I did want to ask, how do y'all feel, I guess, the creative experience differs in Big Hat Logan from Reptile Dysfunction? I'm going to sneeze real fast, so. It's coming.
Oh no.
Oh.
How about that to shake your foundations, folks?
My bad. But yeah, so how do you feel Big Hat Logan differs creatively from Reptile Dysfunction?
Reptile Dysfunction definitely felt like, it felt more like, let's just play whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like
More jam.
this, like, oh, you wrote that. We'll just play this or that, and it just kind of
Mhm.
was more jammy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of why I didn't go far. Like there was no, like, we didn't really try to develop music that much.
Like the song "Beautiful and Cold" was like the most we've ever really developed.
Yeah.
Tried to develop a song that had more structure to it.
Yeah, in the words of critically acclaimed music critic Matt McLeroy, it's our magnum opus.
Of Reptile Dysfunction. He still
Reptile
hasn't heard
Dysfunction.
back. Big Hat Logan, which is, every song on Big Hat Logan will be better.
It's farther along in terms of development than like anything from Reptile Dysfunction.
Yeah, Big Hat Logan actually feels like we put work into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not
Surprisingly.
that. Yeah, not that Reptile Dysfunction didn't have good stuff. It was just.
Well, I mean, a lot of it was like we could have used more takes and done a better job recording it. Also,
Yeah.
not just the songwriting or structures, but both.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we put like a similar amount of time into the recording of our upcoming EP, which is just
Album.
okay, album. My bad. Our upcoming album, Big Hat Logan, than we did into the recording of our Reptile Dysfunction release, Killers for Hire. I feel like they had similar, I guess, total recording times, but there was just a lot more focus in Big Hat Logan, and there's just a lot more going back and fixing our errors and stuff. And at times it definitely could be like confusing or it could be like annoying, but I feel like what we ended up with was absolutely powerful. It's like I feel very proud of what we made together in a way that I just can't feel for Reptile.
Yeah,
And the
I
first
agree.
single's going up on February 5th.
Yes,
I'm
it
excited for
is.
that single too because it's
When does this episode
a
come out?
doozy.
Hopefully this episode comes out on this coming Friday. That's when I
Ooh.
planned for it.
Should we?
So that's the
today.
day of release.
Yeah, so I'm guessing today, for those of you in the audience who are listening, today is the day that our single, Carl the Braincel, arrives on this planet.
To your ears.
And it jumps on in there.
Yeah. How did you feel about recording, Nick?
So it was a new experience for me. I'd never been in like I hesitate to say serious bands before, but like I just like jammed with other kids in middle school because musically I picked up the bass in middle school. Then I really stopped playing for a few years. Then like picked it up again, and yeah, recording with you guys was just like super fun and freeing. I felt like it wasn't like how you're describing Reptile Dysfunction as like a jam band experience, but it was like a free writing environment where it's like anyone was able to bring whatever they wanted to the table, and we would like work on it as a group. It wasn't like, oh, you're the guitar guy, you only write the guitar stuff and back off of my singing or whatever. Like it wasn't like that at all. It was totally communal and supportive, and I felt like you guys really appreciated whatever I brought to the table.
Oh, totally.
And I was also excited to hear whatever you guys wrote or brought to the table and like help workshop these ideas into full songs.
Thank you.
I mean, the Gap will be the greatest song for when the album releases in 2048.
In all seriousness,
we'll get the Billboard bottom 1000.
That's the dream.
But the top of the bottom.
Hey, look,
yeah, the top of the
on
bottom.
there.
But I gotta say, like, in reference to your song, The Gap, I mean, I wouldn't want to specifically call it only your song, but you like basically wrote almost everything that has to do with it. So, but it's something I don't think I played with any sort of bands that I've been in before. It's very like, doom sounding. It's got a very slow but like chugging, powerful pace. It was really refreshing to be able to play that in the context of like you two as well, knowing what we had done before in Reptile Dysfunction. And I just want to shout out to any Reptile Dysfunction stans out there. I'm not throwing shade on our old project. It just
especially to Johnny.
Yeah, please, Johnny. We're not hating on you. Don't do anything drastic.
He's just like unfriend.
It's a little too late for him to do something drastic.
He's gonna take us out of his top friends on MySpace.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
He's gonna dox us. No, but seriously, like Reptile Dysfunction was a whole mess of fun as well. Like we played some fucking amazing shows.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Epic when we got that mosh going. That was a fucking amazing experience. But I think Big Hat Logan, it's just like one of the highlights of my life at this moment, and just, it's something that, how do you say? It's just, I don't know. It's just like one of these present joys that I get to live.
It's great to be proud of what we recorded, and also looking forward to writing more.
Oh yeah,
and recording more,
and hopefully to performing the songs that we've recorded. Assuming things open up, which they seem like they're starting to.
Whether that's happens. Good or not.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
very true.
Just wait for the vaccine.
Yeah.
I mean, they're out there.
Well, we gotta get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not to stray too off topic, but I'm still very concerned regarding the scene, as it were, because I've seen like countless bands and groups that are like, hey, secret show at this location, wear masks and be socially distant, wink wink,
in this like 10 by 10 room.
But it's like, I don't think it's ever that drastic, thankfully. But it's still very like, it's a very confusing environment to be in. Like, I would love to be able to go to these fucking amazing shows, like get to be in a mosh or in a crowd again. But it's just like, I don't know, it just takes I can't step away from the fact that we're in a fucking 400,000 casualty pandemic at this moment, and it's very like, I don't know, reality is just like hard to step out of, even if you want to be able to enjoy these things that we used to have like pre-2020.
Yeah, I was just watching like a TV show and like they'll shake hands. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and I'm like, oh, it's 2004.
Oh wait, this is Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've had that where I'm like, they're not wearing masks. And I'm like, oh, why are they wearing?
Why are they so close to each other?
Yeah, ew.
It's like a movie from 1975. I'm like, why are they not wearing masks?
I mean, maybe they had a pandemic.
It's the
back
thing,
then.
and like the little spider head creatures. Like, what's that?
Yeah, it's Star Wars. They're in a different galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
See, Vader's got the good idea. He's got the mask.
See, maybe the Sith aren't the bad guys. They're trying to promote mask wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Yeah, it's. I feel like it'll be rough transitioning back to normal hood.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever going to be a normal like there was in 2020. I think there's just like far too much baggage from this past like. It's going to be close to a full year that we've been living in the COVID era. I don't think we can go back.
Not for another 50 years.
50
like the
years?
Influenza, right? The influenza pandemic. Like, nobody's like... Back then, they had masks. Back then, they had all that.
You talking about the original coronavirus, the 1918
Yeah.
air quote Spanish flu
Yeah.
that didn't start in Spain?
Yeah. Well, don't tell Bill Maher that.
I know.
I don't talk to Bill Maher.
That lasted
but-
like 3-ish years.
Yeah. But, I mean...
Like, the worst of it was in the first winter. Then after that, the casualties dropped quite a bit, but it was still kind of hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably gonna expect to see something pretty similar. Like the last couple weeks is
Yeah,
probably the worst it's ever gonna be.
The holiday season's pretty...
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because when it's cold, people like to stay indoors next to each other.
And visit family.
Exactly.
Well, that's one of
holidays.
like I've seen a whole bunch of things about the Spanish flu, how they had their own like anti-masking brigades, like people who were like vehemently against mask wearing, and it's like, but I still can't connect that to the context of like people who want to travel for the holidays and go all the way across the country, which is like something you probably couldn't do back in the early 20th century, and these people who are like, I'm still gonna party or I'm still gonna do like all this kind of shit. It's like I can't connect that sort of context to whatever the hell happened in 1918. It's just like, I don't know though. I wasn't around back then.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 1918 had more casualties.
Yeah, it did.
How many?
A lot times
Sure.
two.
A lot.
I don't have those figures.
A squared, lot squared.
Well, I think if I remember, I've heard figures, but I don't have those exact numbers. It's I think as a percentage of the population, for sure, more people died,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure if maximally more people died.
You mean like by numbers?
Yeah, like in total, the
50
actual
million.
amount of people
50 million?
Yeah.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Like I don't think we've hit like 10 million deaths, like this, like in the past year from Corona.
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, a big part of that was also that World War I was going on,
Oh, I see.
so there were people traveling quite a bit.
That makes sense.
And that's why I heard this. That's actually why they call it the Spanish flu. It's because World War I was going on. No country wanted to report that people were dying in their country from the flu
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't want it to be used against them in the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Spanish, who were neutral, they were pulling a Switzerland. They weren't fighting in World War I. They reported on it.
Mm.
And because of that, people in English-speaking countries heard about it, and they're like, oh, the flu's from there, because they're
Oh.
talking about it.
Oh, that's weird. Never heard that angle.
But in Spain and in other parts of Europe, they call it like the African flu. In Africa, they called it the Brazilian flu. Like, people are always trying to put it on someone else, like
Yeah.
Trump with his whole Chinese virus thing.
China.
The Chinese virus.
China virus.
Oh, I can't do a Trump
China.
accent or
Yeah,
whatever he has.
The China virus.
His speech impediment.
Yeah. So. That's rough.
Yeah, that was a bit of a downer. Sorry, bringing that to rise. But yeah, so I'm kind of sure that we went over this a bit, Nick. But yeah, I mean, we basically talked about like your experience within Big Hat Logan as being like I guess a new musical experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I do want to, if y'all don't mind, kind of segueing out of the Big Hat Logan sphere or a verse.
The Big Hat verse.
The Big Hat verse.
Yeah, the
Sphere,
Big Hat
the Q.
Cinematic Universe coming to theaters near you.
Yeah.
Big
One of-
Hat Logan 3.
Yeah, one of them's the actual Big Hat Logan from Dark Souls. The other one's the Republic one, Big Hat Logan.
Big Hat Logan.
One is Wolverine, which is the big head.
Big
It's
Hat.
just Big Head mode on like NBA Jam.
Oh my god. Jesus. Yeah, so if y'all don't mind us kind of segueing into a new sort of... I mean, we've kind of been talking a bit politically these past few minutes, and I don't want to get extremely heavy on this, but I do want to ask how you guys sort of relate current events and how you relate politics, as it were, politics with big old quotation marks, how you relate that to the art that you create and the art that you consume, I guess the creative process within you and outside of you as a whole. If anybody wants to jump in on that.
Well, it has affected songwriting with like one of her songs in the album, "Please Police Me," coming after the whole.
We can call it the murder of George Floyd. That's
but I meant like
correct.
the culmination of everything.
Yeah, it was more than just that. It was everything.
Well, definitely.
The subsequent reaction, let's say.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like that's definitely was the tipping point for a lot of people. Like, I don't think... I mean, it might have happened, but I feel like George Floyd's, his death at the hands of police, that definitely created the mass, the Black Lives Matter movements that we've seen, along with, like, the rise of a whole bunch of leftist, smaller organizations across America and across the world, really. And I think a lot of that did start with, the incident in March. I guess that's just why I referenced that specifically, because I feel like that was kind of the crux of, the not the movement, but, the actions being taken.
Yeah. As for, I mean, I don't know how else it could have. I mean, I guess not being able to play shows and getting together more frequently was due to the pandemic, which was also handled not well, to put it lightly, by the previous, as of now, administration. Yes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, who's to say we could be playing shows at this point, even if it were actually handled accordingly? I mean, I have a few friends over social media who live in places like Japan, live in places in Europe, and there's still, like, lockdowns going on. But I don't know, like, what was America's influence on that? I really don't know, honestly.
I mean, like, Australia hasn't had any cases in, like, a week?
Really?
Like, any new cases?
Oh.
As of today.
That's actually huge.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it kind of shows that, like, even Australia's president is not great either, but it shows how bad it was handled in this country.
Right.
And how other countries are better off. And by also, like, how can I put it? There's also a better sense of unity in those countries than in this country, where it felt like people on the other side of the spectrum, the right, went wild as soon as Donald Trump was elected. People who were Republican and were fine now seems like they're for the rioters at the Capitol.
Yeah.
It was like 9/11, except half of the country was rooting for the planes.
Oh God. No, I totally get that. It's a very, like, it's very scary to really consider the polarization in this country. And I know there are probably going to be people who disagree with what I'm about to say, which is honestly going to suck for people who don't. But, like, there are people who think that a pandemic, that a virus, like a biological entity, is a political issue and not a medical issue or a humanitarian issue. They think it's like, you either believe in the virus or you don't, or you either believe in, protecting others through masks. It's like, that's like, how does it get that contorted? How does your worldview get so estranged that you start to view these, like, objectively dangerous things as a political point? That's, like, the weirdest shit.
Yeah, America's sense of rugged individualism definitely showed itself. The whole, like, Marlboro Man, like, I'm too cool for the rules.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, because, yeah, it's about health, but whenever you mandate anything, it becomes political. Political just meaning, like, making other people do shit.
Right.
So, like, in that sense, it is political, but then it became partisan.
Okay,
which is
that's
the issue, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get it. Sure, like wearing masks is like a thing. Like you have, and some people don't want to do anything that anyone tells them to do,
Yeah.
especially Americans.
Yeah.
But we can see that more like communitarian, more family-oriented cultures fared a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it might have to do with the administration, but also has to do with the culture that's the ground for the country.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's a YouTuber I follow. He goes by American Johnson, American, and
He's a citizen of the internet.
well, he's a citizen of Vietnam.
Ah.
Let's see, get the tracks back on. But yeah, he lives in Vietnam, and he has like a podcast on YouTube, and he has like a whole bunch of videos. He goes on under the channel Non-Compete, but he basically, there was a string of videos that I've seen by him where he just talks about how Vietnam and a lot of the Southeast Asian countries handled the virus significantly better than America, of course, but also a lot of Europe. And he attributes that a lot to what you were saying, like a very unified, a sense of community that exists a lot more prominently in this country and others in that region than within our own. And of course, he also does contribute it to the fact that their government is more responsible, I suppose, is a way to put it, by providing health care and by making sure that, masks are enforced, which is like, again, that goes back to what you were saying about, like, people don't want to have to be forced to do things. But it's like, I just don't understand how, again, maybe that's just like a whole, like, not understanding the mindset of other people. Just like, you can't make them understand that the greater good is the greater good. You get what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like what good is to other people, right? Like they'll say, like, actually, the greatest good is individual freedoms and liberties, and if you ever trample on that, then you're actually doing some kind of harm to something that lasts longer than the temporary comings and goings of diseases and political situations. But I mean, I agree with you. I think it's definitely, it makes more sense to or enforce lockdown in a way where we could have nipped it in the bud,
Right.
so to speak. Like if people actually went along with all of the mandates and or if the government had the clout to enforce stronger ones and people followed it, I mean, it would have gone away. Not gone away, but like it would have
it would have been easier to handle.
For sure.
That's another thing. It's like I didn't even know that California had another stay-at-home order until I heard that the stay-at-home order was being shut down just a few days ago. It was like nobody's been staying at home.
No.
Nobody. I didn't know that this was a thing because nobody was following it.
And it's like cases aren't better. Like, why open?
Yeah.
1 in 3 people in Los Angeles are infected.
It's Newsom's re-election.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's because he's getting re-elected soon, and he's getting pressured by lobbyists. That's what I hear.
It makes sense.
That's the gossip on the street.
But then those stay-at-home orders aren't even being enforced by, like, the cops are saying, like, we're not going to enforce it. So I mean, there's no
unless
point to it.
you're a person of color holding a protest.
Yeah.
That's been a huge thing that I've seen. Like, you'll have a whole bunch of white folks like, gathering around at a park, and it'll be like, nobody's wearing masks. But as soon as you have people who are trying to hold a political, like a rally or a protest, and they're of the quote unquote wrong color, that's when you get the cops sent in. And that's like another part of this weird multifaceted issue that I've seen, is that the folks who are really like, going out and living it up, I suppose, are, they're the privileged class. And it's a very like, I think this pandemic has really opened at least my eyes to the weird dichotomy that we have, that not only exists like politically, so to speak, but I don't want to call it race, because I feel like I don't think there's like a sub races of Homo sapiens, but I guess that's colloquially what it is. But so the differences between races in America.
I mean, we're not like elves and dwarves and half orcs.
Yeah.
I don't live 200 years more than you.
I don't live 50 years less than you.
We'll see about that.
Oh, God.
So it's a race you aren't in.
All right, boys, bring on the bicycles.
I do kind of want to close this off by saying, though, that regarding, as I had gone over earlier, the whole, the surge of leftist activity of groups that do mutual aid, of groups that are doing lots of distributions and stuff like that. I think that's one of the things that it's given me, like, the most fucking hope I've had in a long time. Just seeing people who are, like, just constantly working on helping their communities, on helping the underprivileged in their communities. That's something I was never, like, aware of before, early 2020. That's something I didn't think existed. Like, people who are just distributing food, and people who are, like, distributing, sleeping supplies for the homeless, people who are holding these, like, out of government community councils. It's like learning about all this through the pandemic has given me, like, such a huge dimension of, like, knowing what possibilities lie outside of the political spectrum that we are kind of forced to digest in America.
Yeah. that's the one good thing that this current events have brought is more I don't know if I should say more of a sense of community, but at least more awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm wording that right.
I get that.
I think you're right. Like any disaster usually breeds a sense of community. Like I think about in World War II when the Blitz was going on in London, which, I mean, that's way worse than a pandemic. I think, because, like, buildings are being destroyed, people are being blown to bits. But
Yeah,
in a sense.
But the sense of community that built, like, if you look back at, like, letters people used to write, or if you talk to, I guess the people from around then are barely alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see, like, interviews of people, recorded interviews of people talking about that time, they're like, yeah, I felt like I was really part of something bigger than myself. I was like, I wasn't just me and my family. I was like a member of a wider community at large. And I think when there's something that's life-threatening going on, where it's something out of your control, you have to start to lean on other people. And what's cool is that, like what you're saying, Andres, is that it's possible for people in our society, even the most capitalistic society on the planet, even within that, the human generosity and desire to see the other human being as a conscious entity worthy of love, that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can act on it and really help everybody out. It's totally possible. It's happening. And admittedly, it should happen more.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's just have more pandemics.
No.
That's it. That's the solution.
Yeah.
Got it.
Let's get
More fear equals more love. I get it.
coronavirus 21.
Coronavirus 2. Escape to Africa.
Escape. Oh no.
Ebola edition.
Yeah. Definitive edition.
Coronabola.
New Coronavirus 2 Deluxe.
Yeah, like someone's playing that Plague Inc. video game.
Yeah.
Just checking all the boxes, like more symptoms.
More.
That's how you win that game. Is you have a disease with almost no symptoms, just like coughing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then
You
evolve it all at once. You save up points, and then out of nowhere you mutate it into like pulmonary embolisms and.
That sounds like such fun. Oh God.
Weren't there like that the coronavirus was like basically following players like their strategies?
Really?
Yeah, like
It's sentient.
it was hard to overtake Greenland because of the cold, and like the coronavirus wasn't that present. I don't know about now, but at the beginning.
I don't think there's like anybody present in Greenland.
That doesn't sound like it's following player strategies in that game. It's more just like that game models
That's
how
what I meant.
diseases travel pretty accurately.
Yeah, I didn't mean to be like COVID was like logging on, logging on Steam
Yeah.
But it's meant to say like it's like.
Perhaps I think it's players that have just kind of like unconsciously learned how diseases travel best, rather than the other way around.
Yes.
Ebola's looking at its computer, watching like a Plague Inc. fucking speed run.
Yeah, the COVID speed run.
All right, so we're gonna be winding it down a bit, if y'all don't mind. We have a section of this podcast. I try to do it every time. Where we basically just kind of shout out artists don't shout. But we just shout out artists that we're aware of in our communities, and they don't have to just be musicians. They can be, illustrators, filmmakers, people who just create within our communities. We kind of just give out the name of the person, the group, and kind of explain what they do and explain how they've been inspiring us. If you want, I'll start. There's a couple different people who I've had the pleasure of working with recently that I'm absolute.
Big Hat Logan.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out Big Hat Logan. They're the guests of this podcast. Why don't you guys introduce yourself? No, but like seriously, there are a whole bunch of awesome artists that I've gotten to work with for a couple collaborative projects that I've been doing with the Camerata. We've just been making like these big sort of, amalgamations of arts, basically. And one of the artists that I've gotten to work with, who I'm super, I don't know, I just dig his work ethic, and I just dig how fucking like devoted he is to creating. I might have even shouted him out on a previous episode, but Hunter Tidwell. I forgot what your second last name was. I'm sorry, but he goes by Dasuo. On Instagram, and this guy creates so much music. This guy he is a machine when it comes to music. Like, I remember a couple months ago, I think around September or October, the guy just dropped 5 albums on a single day. Like, it was insane.
That puts King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard to shame.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the thing. It's like I watch his stories and I look at his posts sometimes. But it's like almost every time I'm on his stories or every time I look at his posts, it's like, hey, I'm creating this new thing, testing out this new instrument. And it's like, God, he's just constantly at it. And I really wish I could have that kind of creative energy to just fucking like constantly throw A and B together to create art. It's amazing. I love the guy. And if anybody wants to, jump off of that.
There's my girlfriend, Miss Milan, on Instagram and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
She does all our thumbnail art for the Big Hats Play YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You should go check it out. Maybe be the 9th viewer on the channel.
And her channel too.
Yeah. No, she on her channel would be like 1,000 something.
No. Go to her channel too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah, she does all our YouTube art, basically, like the header. She even did the initial logo.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss Milan on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's I don't know her personally, but was it Too Small for You on Instagram?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who did the art for Carl the Braincel single?
Yeah.
Coming today,
which everybody should be able to see in full. We released kind of like a truncated version of the piece for like our Instagram teaser.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Lizzie Styles. We actually had her on an earlier episode of the podcast as well.
I remember.
But yeah, she's super awesome. She makes these really cool digital illustrations basically. She also does comics, which are super fun to read. Everything she does is fucking amazing. I'm sorry, I usurped your place.
You knew more than me, so I just want to get it out there.
I got a band that I'd like to plug on Instagram. They're called X Goshala X. The band's Goshala. They're a Krishna core band, which is like a subgenre of hardcore punk that's like Hare Krishna themed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like they mosh, but like in like a spiritual way.
Oh,
And like they write a lot of like political songs about animal rights and things like that.
that's sick.
I know
Animal
the
rights is pretty
bassist Manohar, who is super cool. So you should definitely check those guys out. They're coming out with some music in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
Like for their first music? Or-
Yeah, as that group. Yeah, there are a lot of guys in the hardcore scene that came together. They're like local guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Animal Rights is pretty punk. Millions of Dead Cops was very knowingly vegetarian.
Mm.
And they're always, it's punk.
Yeah, like this genre has its roots in the straight edge subgroup of punk music, because one of the founders of straight edge, Ray Capo, became a Krishnacore artist in his band Shelter.
Oh, damn, that's awesome.
Do they listen to Minor Threat? Do you know?
They probably do.
The OG straight edge band.
Yeah.
Bismarck, you want to shout anybody out?
I don't really. I was just gonna mention Lizzie, but I don't really know much local artists, sadly.
What?
Cosmic Kitten, yeah, they're great.
Oh, yeah. We've seen a couple of their shows. We've gotten to play a few times with them.
Bedlam Saints.
Oh, hell yeah.
Bedlam Saints, yeah.
Yeah, that's Alex.
Totally drew a blank on that
Alex
one.
Higgins, the guitarist. I went to college with him, and he also recorded for. He was the engineer and producer of Killers for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
Cool guy.
Yeah,
really
he's
cool
dope. I haven't seen him in forever. Hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, same. He hasn't followed Big Hat Logan on Instagram, but, you know, whatever.
Is that like...
What?
He hasn't?
He hasn't.
I gotta call some.
Go to his house.
Hello,
Hello, Mr. Alex's mom.
Speaking of thumbnail art, I also want to shout out Ellen, who goes by InkU. I hope that I'm pronouncing that
Ellen,
right.
you didn't.
But yeah, she's amazing. Another digital illustrator that I've come across just through surfing the Instagram web. But yeah, she does all the thumbnail art for for the CamerataCast. She makes all our cute illustrations of all the artists that show up on this little show, and I am eternally thankful for her always coming in clutch and just throwing these characters onto our background. It's amazing what she does, and I thank you.
What do you have the podcast on? I feel ashamed just asking this now.
I've got it on YouTube. It's just Camerata Company on YouTube. I wasn't able to change it to Camerata Los Angeles because I guess you can't change your Gmail name without creating a new Gmail account, and that goes with everything that's connected to Google as well.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'll
Catch
make sure
this
to follow.
podcast on YouTube, everybody.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to follow, and Big Hats Play will follow too.
Oh, thank you.
Subscribe, I guess. That's the word.
Is Big Hats Play like its own channel?
Yeah.
I mean, not channel, but is it? I was thinking Instagram for a sec. My bad.
Oh no. Yeah, it's a Big Hat Logan band on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Big Hats Play on YouTube. That's also where the song is gonna go.
Sick.
And yeah, I think that's really our only two social medias. But the song will be, and subsequent music will be available on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music.
Napster.
It might be.
LimeWire.
We'll put fake versions on LimeWire.
Yeah.
We'll put viruses in them.
We don't use Bismarck's vocals. We actually use his vocals, but they run through like 3 different ring modulators.
You should use DistroKid for the podcast. You can have it on Spotify and stuff.
Oh fuck! You know what? I'll have to hit that up. I don't know. I'm still very new to the podcast game. I don't know how a lot of people do their distribution. I just know that you just talk to different people, ask them if you want to be on the show, and then there's a show, and everything after that is either usually a show or not a show.
So far, you've had 10 shows.
I've half.
Out of how many shows? Possible
So,
shows.
so would you say podcasting is more of a tell and show kind of situation? Tell and show, not show and tell.
Penn and Teller.
There we go.
Yeah, joke of the day.
I'm sorry. I just like for a second I just couldn't understand what the joke was.
You know show and tell in kindergarten?
Yeah.
It's like that but backwards.
I feel so bad. I just destroyed the I just destroyed.
That makes it better. Thank you.
Or it could have been the ba 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 da 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 da.
Oh, the fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I just wish I had that like that'd be like my one universal power.
Just to play that whenever.
Yeah.
You just need a soundboard and like a speaker in
Yeah,
the
but
background.
like I could play it like for anyone. Like, you know, when Trump got the COVID, got COVID, you know, just play that in his house, the whole White House.
You could just play it anywhere, like
Yeah.
any location that you're aware of. Okay, before we end this, what song would you guys want to be able to play, like, just like telekinetically make that song heard in any location? What theme or song would it be?
Fuck.
I mean,
Hard.
is shameless self-promotion allowed?
It's encouraged.
I just want Carl the Braincel to play at every fucking every public location.
Yes.
If there's a band that I don't like and they're about to play a live show, everything they play is just going to be Carl the Braincel.
Yes.
Can't get laid 'cause I'm so nice. I play by the rules and I pay the price.
And they'll have to say it's by Big Hat Logan every time.
Or else we'll copyright strike them.
Well, we'll do it regardless.
Oh God.
But yeah.
This has been fun. I'm happy that we got to have a little podcast together.
How does it? And okay, now we're interviewing you. How does it feel to know that you have the funniest episode so far?
Wonderful. In the words of Billy Joe Armstrong.
Is that really what he said?
Have you never heard Maria? It was off one of their really old albums, but it was also on International Super Hits.
Not that I recall. No.
There's just this introduction to the song where I guess it's like a news reporter, quote unquote, and she goes, "Billy Joe, it's certainly wonderful to hear your very first album. How does it feel to have released it?" And he goes, "Wonderful."
Oh jeez. Oh man.
I used to crack up at that when I was like a 8-year-old glassy-eyed boy.
I didn't even know music existed at 8. I didn't discover music till high school.
You just thought everything was like weirdly organized sound.
Yeah, I mean, when I would listen to music on YouTube, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, the Mario Sunshine El Delfino on loop." Hell yeah.
And then all of a sudden you heard Scatman John and your eyes opened.
Yeah, after the 10th Halo 3 compilation with Let the Bodies Hit the Floor playing over the blue screen, I was like,
"Holy
is
shit, this is a song!"
Yeah, is this what music is? It's terrible.
Well, that's because you had to watch all the compilations that had Linkin Park, not Drowning Pool.
Yeah.
That's where you went wrong.
Oh no.
Nick, what was your favorite AMV back when you were a glassy-eyed boy? Rosy cheeks and all.
That would have had to have been Linkin Park Naruto AMVs.
Yes!
Jeez.
Yeah.
We got a real fan.
Is that a thing?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
dude,
Like
they
a
were
big
fucking
thing.
top. I remember I went to my friend Justin's house back when I was like 7 or 8, and I knew this kid to be like, he was not at all a nerd. He was like really into sports. He was like,
Just 10 feet tall.
yeah, he was huge.
Ripe for anime.
He had
He
like,
hadn't even discovered JoJo yet.
yeah, he was already invited by several colleges to play on their basketball team. But yeah, so like I just got the JoJo thing. But yeah, so like he invited a whole bunch of like friends of mine from elementary school and me to his home once, and we're all like in his living room, well, not living room, but in his room, and he, on his computer he had like a Naruto AMV with Linkin Park's Numb playing, and I was like, oh, that's what anime is, I guess. It looks kind of cool.
What are you doing on this? I'm listening to anime with Linkin Park on.
Linkin Park is more Japanese than I thought.
So you guys would just like watch, like, what is it? Just music over scenes?
Yeah, it's mostly over like fight scenes or really powerful, fucking like emotionally like charged scenes.
What
Yeah,
was your
there would
favorite?
always be ones where they do different fight scenes, but they'd edit it so that like the moves in the fight would match with the beat of the song.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
That became even more of a thing like recently, where they do like dubstep or trap songs to Naruto fights.
I've never.
Oh, it's still
heard
going?
That's a thing right now.
I did
Yeah.
not know that.
Oh, it's like actually way cooler than it used to be. Like they edit it way better. You know, they put like different effects on the video. They add like vibrations and like slow mo and stuff like that. It looks really cool.
I kind of want to check this
Yeah,
out.
you should.
The only like fucking Naruto edits I'm aware of, and I was telling Bismarck and Brandon about it earlier, are like anime fights with Ed and Eddie sound effects. The best shit ever.
It's like, yeah, I'm just gonna watch that when I get
I gotta send you like my favorites. They're absolutely killer. It's just fucking hysterical.
I just like imagine the Naruto, Sasuke, and then when they go to the punch, and you hear the mama.
You know what? I can show you one like after we're done with this. I got my computer here. It's the best shit ever. All right, we gotta cut it before we go on too long about anime and Linkin Park. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm always grateful for the people who support the Camerata and the artists that we work with. Just to let you all know, Carl the Braincel is out today. Today being Friday the 5th. We also have an art book that just came out, the Camerata, not Big Hat Logan. We have an art book that came out recently, and it's got a whole bunch of illustrations from locally based artists. It's all centered around the theme of New Year's resolutions, and the sales, part of the sales from these art books go towards helping Curious Publishing, which is a really cool local publishing group that works with underrepresented artists in the SoCal area. They make zines and they make art books. It's really cool. But yeah, this will be a fundraiser to help them recover from a recent fire damage. What would you call it? Like, just from recovering financially from a recent fire. But yeah, thank you all for listening, and I will catch y'all soon.